Is your Geography 2 Getting Started reading. And so in order to be able to do the Geography 2 Getting Started assignment, we have to first carefully read some text that will help us be able to explore why do people explore, but then also to demonstrate our ability to do the tasks or do the steps for in progress on Geography 2. So just a reminder what that is. By the end of this assignment, you should be able to describe human identities and cultures from a historical context, and you should be able to list and describe geographic features. So that's what you're going to be asked to do after reading this text. But I am going to show you guys how to carefully read and annotate a text. Now, my 7th and 8th graders, you're used to this. We did this many times last year. My 6th graders, this should be new. Regardless of what stage you're at, you do need to watch this video, and you do need to do what I do on this task. So you're annotating. If I write something down, you're writing it down. The reason why I'm doing this via video and not in front of the whole class is because we all work at different paces, and sometimes you'll have to pause it and go back or rewind to be able to complete this. So again, you're doing what I am doing. In the future, I will print paper copies. I will not require everyone to annotate on a physical paper copy. However, if you are struggling to complete your assignments, or if you are struggling to understand, or you just work better with paper, you will get a paper copy, and annotation is the way to help you better focus on a text. So when we're reading in social studies, or in general, a lot of people have a tendency to rush through a text to get to the assignment. And many times that just does you no good, because then you don't know how to answer the questions, or you haven't slowed down to think about it. So go with me here. All right, cultural regions. What are some of the cultural regions in the United States? So in addition to its diverse landscapes and climates, North America also hosts a wide array of cultures. So just some big words here, because again, Geography 2 is looking for, you can identify cultures and you can identify geographic features, okay? Kind of how they intersect. So we're going to underline some of the key words. So diverse, if you don't know what that word means, it means there are many different, so a variety of landscapes, climates, and cultures. A cultural region is a region in which people share characteristics of the same culture. So we're just going to circle that big word, cultural region, and they have the same culture in a cultural region. They can be places where people speak the same language, practice the same religion, or share the same history. So these are examples of different cultural features. Or they're examples of cultural characteristics. If you were like, what's a cultural characteristic? The text just told you. Some examples: language, religion, history. They can even be places where people partake in the same traditions, another cultural characteristic, or share the same cultural outlets like art or music. For example, music is an example of a cultural outlet. Look at that. An integral part of the regional culture of the Southeast. The southeastern city of New Orleans is even known as the birthplace of jazz. This is important because it's an example of a cultural outlet. So again, cultural outlets are typically like music and art of various kinds. All right, culture in the Southwest. When Europeans first colonized the United States, Native Americans already lived in many geographic regions across North America. Today, many Native American tribes still follow ancient traditions. The Native American reservations in the United States are cultural regions, places where people from the same cultural backgrounds share cultural characteristics. Again, that word, cultural regions, that phrase shows up again, and it's another reminder of that definition. So they're saying the Native American reservations in the United States have they're cultural regions with shared cultural characteristics. Reservations are also political entities, which means they have their own governments and laws. Native American peoples, over the course of the last 2 centuries, were forced off their land and onto reservations. In the modern Southwest region, a distinctive culture has grown from the blend of Native American and Spanish heritages together with Anglo-American and African-American traditions. Okay, so what we're reading here about the Southwest, because again, that's what our subheader is telling us. This is about culture in the Southwest. We know that Native Americans were already here when the Europeans arrived. They still follow ancient traditions, even on their reservations. But here's the main part about culture in the Southwest, okay? They have a distinctive culture, and it's a blend of Native American and Spanish heritages together with Anglo-American and African-American traditions. And again, they still follow those ancient traditions. So those are our cultural markers there, okay? All right, culture in the Southeast. So we're going to highlight that word Southeast because that's what we're reading about now. Along the sea islands of the Southeast, let me back up. No, I think we're fine because we're also noting geographic features. I don't see any up here. All right, so along the sea islands, that's a geographic feature, so I'm going to label that GF. Okay. Of the Southeast, there is a cultural region called the Gullah. The Gullah reaches from the northern coast of Florida and goes all the way up to the borders of North Carolina. This region, so we have a cultural region from Florida to North Carolina. This region is distinctly shaped by people that are descendants of the enslaved Africans. Okay. The Gullah people, sometimes known as the Geechee, are unique because they have preserved many West African cultural practices. Okay, so this tribe, this cultural region, has many West African cultural practices. The Gullah region even has its own distinct dialect that is a blend of English and West African languages. So dialect is just another way of saying like kind of a part of a language or a sub-language. Like in the South, they have their own dialect because they still speak English, but they speak it slightly differently based on that region. So language based on region, and that is part of their culture. The West African influences can also be seen in their music, food, and infamous style of basket weaving. Okay, so all of this is cultural. Their culture is influenced by West African practices. Their language is a unique cultural feature, and some of these are also cultural practices. All right, culture in the Northeast. In some areas of the Northeast, particularly in and around Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, you will find cultural regions known as the Pennsylvania Dutch Country. These areas are home to descendants of Germans who immigrated in the 1700s, including many Amish and Mennonites. These are religious sects or groups who live much as they did in the 1700s. They practice traditional farming methods and generally avoid modern technology. In addition to speaking English, many Amish and Mennonites also speak a hybrid language known as Pennsylvania Dutch, a German dialect. Okay, so this is really that cultural stuff, okay? Their culture is very unique, just like the one above, because they live like people did in the 1700s. So Amish and Mennonites, you might have heard of them. And here are some of their cultural attributes with the traditional farming. They avoid modern tech. They speak more than just English. They also speak Pennsylvania Dutch. Okay, understanding cultures. Identifying cultural regions can help you understand other cultures. When you learn about characteristics the people in a region share, you can start to see why they live, why they do. After you learn how the people of a region are similar, you can better understand what makes them unique. That's a major point, okay? That's why we're constantly looking at a cultural region. Learning about cultural regions also enables you to understand how you are similar to and different from other people. It enables you to learn more about your own culture as well. So as we're evaluating cultures this year and always, you should be kind of doing a compare and contrast chart in your head. All right. The next text is about biomes, and this is where we're really going to focus in on geographic features because this text was about mostly culture. Now we're going to focus on those geographic features, and I'll label GF when we see a geographic feature, okay? So again, whatever I do, you need to do. So what are some examples of biomes in the United States? The United States can be divided into different ecosystem regions or biomes. So what's a biome? A biome is an ecosystem region. Each biome has distinctive landforms, climate, and plant and animal life. So these are the characteristics of a biome. Think about the area where you live. Is there a forest nearby, or is the area mostly dry and desert-like? How do you think your local biome differs from other parts of the United States? So this first section, the subtitle tells us, is about rainforest. The temperate zones surround the tropics. In the northern hemisphere, the temperate zone stretches between the Arctic Circle and the Tropic of Cancer. So, temperate zones, Arctic Circle, geographic feature, Tropic of Cancer, geographic feature. All of the United States is in the temperate zone except for Hawaii. That is crazy. I did not know that. That's major. Okay. Temperate rainforests are found within the temperature zone. So temperate rainforests are GF, geographic feature. In the United States, temperate rainforests are found along the coast in the Pacific Northwest. Many years ago, rainforests stretched all the way from southern Oregon to Alaska. However, human development, such as logging and population growth, has changed the environment, and the rainforests in the United States are not as widespread anymore. So this right here is human impact on the biomes. There are two main seasons in a temperate rainforest. So two main seasons. A long rainy season, during which temperatures are low but rarely dip below freezing, and a short dry summer season in which temperatures can reach the mid-80s. So we're going to label that as more of a GF, but the rainforest in Olympic National Park in Washington State receives as much as 12 to 14 feet of rain a year. This area supports spruce and hemlock trees, Pacific salmon, northern spotted owls, porcupines, deer, elk, and banana slugs, as well as other plant and animal species. We're going to label that a geographic feature, even though it's just more of a characteristic of a biome. Okay, so now that we're out of the rainforest, the temperate rainforest, we're going to label that temperate, because people think rainforest and they think South America. Okay. We have deciduous forests. Deciduous forests are found mostly in the eastern United States. So the temperate were all of the United States except for Hawaii. This is mostly the eastern United States. Broad-leaved deciduous trees, such as oak, hickory, maple, and other hardwoods, thrive in this ecosystem region. Again, I'm going to put I should put GF. That's my bad. Geographic feature, even though it's more of a biome feature. Deciduous forests experience all 4 seasons. So temperate experience 2 main ones, but deciduous are 4. They have winter, spring, summer, and autumn. To prepare for winter, deciduous trees stop sending nutrients to their leaves so they can store energy in their trunks and branches. As a result, the leaves change color and die in the autumn. In the process, the leaves display fall colors that can be spectacular. The state of Maine draws roughly 9 million leaf peepers each year. Animals that commonly make their homes in this biome include gray and red squirrels, white-tailed deer, black bears, and many species of birds such as red-tailed hawks, great horned owls, northern flickers, and chickadees. I'll label that as a GF. All right, grasslands. Grasslands represent another ecosystem region in the United States. Grasslands are huge fields of grasses, flowers, and herbs with few trees other than those near rivers and streams. So we're going to label that GF. There are 2 different types of grassland ecosystems, tall grass and short grass. So 2 types. Both kind of create their own biome. Both are considered prairie ecosystems. Short grass prairie is more common in a climate that is dry and hot in the summer and cold in the winter. So it tells you more about short grass prairie. Tall grass prairie tends to appear where the climate is wet and humid year-round, but not as wet as forest. The Central Plains region, just west of the Mississippi River, so that's a geographic feature, is an example of a tall grass prairie. The grasses get shorter as the Great Plains stretch closer to the Rocky Mountains. Okay, both of those are geographic features. All right, deserts. Deserts are yet another type of ecosystem region found in the United States. There are 4 major deserts in the United States: the Mojave Desert, the Sonoran Desert, the Chihuahuan Desert, and the Great Basin Desert. Deserts are distinguished by their dry climate. So P.S. those are all GFs. Dry climate is a GF. Deserts also generally experience great variations in temperature. That's also a GF. Throughout the day, deserts are home to certain plants and animals that do not exist anywhere else in the world. For example, Joshua trees are native to the Mojave Desert and are found nowhere else. So that's an example of a geographic feature, Joshua tree. Okay. All right, at this point, you should have a pretty good understanding of the passage, and you should be able to move on to answering the questions. But first, show your annotated document to your teacher for approval to move on.